Um, when I mention reading informed by cognitive science, I want to show you some examples. So here we have two images that are displayed side by side. This is a setup that is way more ideal than the typical radiologist ever encounters, because these images are scaled to the same size, they have the same grayscale, and there's only two of them. Whereas a radiologist trying to compare a new CT to an old CT might have hundreds or even thousands of images to compare. And yet, it's a tough task, right? I mean, I think in 15 or 20 years, we're going to look back at this era and find it almost unbelievable that radiologists spent their day first eyeballing images to look for the anomalies and changes. That's going to be done by a machine. After all these years of training, the typical radiologist, I think, should spend their time analyzing not whether there's a finding, but the significance of the finding and what it means with regard to the patient's diagnosis and recommendations for therapy. But at any rate, while I've been talking, you've had an opportunity to look at these two images and hopefully see some of the differences. And the question I have for you is, when are you done? Have you seen all the differences between these two images? Or is there a cancer here that appeared on the new exam that wasn't there previously on the old exam? And when are you done? When do you say, I'm finished? I'm satisfied that my search is complete? Is it after you've made the first finding, or the second, or the eighth, or the ninth? So let's look at these images in a completely different way. And instead of looking at them side by side and comparing them, let's flicker between them. So this method has been studied. It's not used very broadly in radiology, although it's used very broadly in other fields like astronomy. And you can see that when I flicker between these two images, the differences become much more notable. And this doesn't depend on perfect registration. Unlike subtraction, the human brain accounts for movement between the two images. The reason that you're a better detector of pathology when you flicker between images is because you're detecting motion. And anytime you can turn a radiologist or any human being into a motion detector, we're just inherently better at it. We can detect motion without the phobia of our retina. The side-by-side method requires a different part of our brain that has only recently evolved. Same thing here. I'm looking at two CT images side by side, and you may focus on a nodule here perhaps and say, is this patient better or worse? Well, is the nodule bigger or smaller? Has it changed in density? Has it moved in position? Is it becoming cystic? Those types of decisions require radiologists to start making measurements. And yet, if you flicker between those two images, not only can you say with a high degree of confidence that that nodule has not changed at all, but you may see other findings that become a little more evident to you, like the gorilla in the lingula, or the 1 pixel nodule in the right middle lobe. So flickering is an example of how we can make medical imaging better.